Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. And does Miami Hurricanes social media fandom hurt the program in terms of recruiting? Now, I really wasn't going to talk about this subject. I'm not on Twitter. The only time I actually do go on Twitter is for boxing news because I think anything football related, it's not gonna be breaking information to me, right? I pay for services that render the same information because I'm proud to pay, right? I don't want to take anyone's work and pretend like it's mine, so I don't go to Twitter looking for Miami Hurricane information in any facet whatsoever. But the situation that just transpired, I don't know if that was a real Miami Hurricane fan. I don't know if that person was a troll. I do seem to think that there are some fans that do say that the individuals that may say negative things about the program or do things like that are not truly Miami Hurricane fans. And that's one thing that I want to address along with some other things that I want to address in terms of this social media fandom, right? I was listening to Cafecito and Canes with John, and John said something that was very interesting. I mean, the entire video was interesting. He was giving a breakdown of some of the things that have transpired over the spring, some things we should look out for, some guys that are achieving, playing at a good level. And he did say that there have been instances in which social media has actually been a deterrent in terms of getting a prospect. Now, obviously, I know John is associated with Flow, and I know those guys over there get a lot of information due to relationships that they have cultivated over periods of time with players and prospects. So I'm going to take his word that that's an accurate assessment of some things that have transpired. Now, obviously, of course, some fans may say, well, if social media scares you off, we don't want you anyway, right? And they're not at liberty to disclose any of the names of said prospects and whether or not they are doing well at whatever location they decide to go to. But I just thought that was an interesting, piece of information because I've been on a message board for over a decade now, and that's something that I saw people say where it's like, man, y'all be careful what y'all post on here. You got family members and maybe some prospects may have bought a subscription and they are looking at some of the things that we say. And even with the information that John said, and even with everything that I've listened to for a decade on the message board, I still am not coming off of my stance of every fan base has that, right? Every fan base has that. Now, what I will say, though, is simply this. When we talk about the social media being a determining factor in terms of a player choosing to come to a university or not, we have fans that say, well, Miami is treated differently, right? Miami is treated differently than other schools. And I agree. Miami is. But this is my opinion of why Miami is treated differently. The fans, right? I saw a guy, I think maybe we was in Coach Hayes' chat, and he basically said, look, I don't go into the season 11-1, 10-2. I go into season 15-0 because that's the standard. And so I know he's not the only one that thinks that. I'm sure it's a lot of Kane fans that feel that way, even though the past 20 years have been, forgetful. There are guys who wake up each and every day and feel as if this is going to be the 2001 season, or this is the 80s again, or this is the 90s. I know it's guys that think that way, right? It's guys that think that way in the NBA. It's guys that think that way in the NFL. So there are fans that think that. And so sometimes I feel like, and I didn't read the back and forth between Jeremiah Smith and, the fan or troll or whatever the person was, but I've seen enough to put together that this is potentially an exchange that could have happened. The exchange could have simply been, we only want people that want to be here. We want people that are going to be leaders, not followers. Don't miss your spot getting on the train. This offer means something. Don't play with it. Because I've seen multiple people say stuff like that. And so when you interact with people like that, then obviously as a prospect, you have to think differently. Again, when you say that Miami is a brotherhood, there's no other football program like it. We don't have the most national championships, don't have the most All-Americans, don't have the first team, don't have the most all-conference players, don't even have the most wins, don't have the best win-loss ratio. None of that. Don't have the most NFL Hall of Famers, don't have the most college football Hall of Famers. But what Miami does have is a brand that was birthed in the 80s that I feel like still permeates within the fan base today, and that is a supreme confidence, a certain attitude, right? I'm the type, and someone may say, "Oh, well, Shy, you ain't like that." But I'm the type, I don't necessarily talk trash because my thing of it is this. If a team has done better than us the last 7, 8 years, I ain't got nothing to say to you. Because I'm not the one that will piggyback and say, "Oh, well, y'all lost to such and such." Because my thing is like, well, can we beat them? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. But there are fans that I have seen that's like, we don't care what it is. We're better than you. We are better than you. So it's good that comes with that. And then there are bad that come with it. And subsequently, some of the bad is that prospects and the national media treats Miami differently. You gotta take the good with the bad. You can't get upset with it. You're happy when it's going good. And then you get upset and say, "Oh, they're being biased when things are not going right." No. You gotta take the good with the bad. It's just like a job. You may love the pay, you may love the retirement package, but then you hate the schedule. You hate that you may have to work 7 days a week. You gotta take the good with the bad. You can complain about it, but it comes with the territory, right? So getting back to the initial point that I said I wanted to make about people writing people off as trolls and stuff like that. And it's like, they're not a troll. There's different types of fans within the fan base. You got the fanatics, the diehards. You got the even keel guys, which I consider myself even keel. And then you got the guys that may be overly pessimistic. But that's what makes for great dialogue, because you got 3 different types of fans engaging with each other. You got the diehard that are saying, the overly pessimistic, "Oh man, why don't y'all go root for another team?" And then you got the overly pessimistic guys telling the diehard guys, "Y'all can't see the forest for the trees. You can't see what's actually going on here because you're just that locked in." Then obviously you got the even keel guys that can, we can go after the fanatics and we can go after the overly pessimistic guys, right? You can be a chameleon. You can blend in with either one that you want to blend into. But but getting back to the original point, the reason that, in my opinion, why social media does hurt Miami in recruiting is simply the fact that I don't think prospects, it's in their best interest to come out publicly and say, "I don't want to go to Miami because I don't feel like I'm going to get developed." Or, "I don't want to go to Miami because they don't have a home field atmosphere. I don't want to go to Miami for all this stuff like this." All the negative recruiting that goes on. But it's not good for a prospect to come out and say that publicly because everything is so scrutinized, right? So what does Miami have going for it? We're not winning right now. Just had a bad year, and this is not just based on last year. This is based on a culmination of 10 to 15 years. Like I said, these prospects that are coming out now, they've never seen Miami have consecutive dominant seasons. I'm not going to say they haven't seen Miami have a good season because we had 2017. I'm talking about consecutive dominant seasons where we're talking about 10, 11, 12, another 10, another 11, 10, 12. They haven't seen that, right? So 2017 to the vast majority of them was just a flash in the pan. Because we've seen flash in the pan teams come where you have a team that comes in, wins 12, 13 games, like, oh man, are they for real? Then next year they win 4 games. Oh, well, it was just flash in the pan. So the most respectful thing they can say or do is say, well, I didn't like the way y'all did me on social media. But again, the logical thing would be every fan base does that on social media. But the difference, again, goes back down to what's the good and the bad. Like, let's take, for instance, Bama. Or let's take Georgia or Clemson or something like that. Got the whole situation with the trainer guy that just went off on the rant. And you have people that say, well, why would you want to go to those particular schools? And you got people like that feel the way. It's people like that in every fan base. So let's stop with that. Oh man, the Southern schools are so bad. Miss me with that. What's the good? The good is if I go to Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, chances are, on average, I'm gonna play on better teams. I'm gonna win more games. I'm gonna have more exposure. I'm going to go, on average, higher in the draft. And I'm going to get this type of work that I need to make me a better player in practice. Facilities are top notch. So you take that good, and then you got, because I remember I was watching Paul Feinbaum. Well, I was listening to the replay of Paul Feinbaum's show one day. And this was when Blake Sims was the quarterback. And an older gentleman called in. I don't have to give his ethnicity. Blake Sims was the quarterback. And so I don't know if this was, I can't remember what after the game. But basically, what the guy that called in was alluding to was that the reason I don't think Bama played for the national championship that year, but he was alluding to that the reason that Bama did not play for a national championship that year was because of the color of Blake Sims' skin. Now, the interesting thing about the podcast, I don't know what happened live because I wasn't listening to it on live. I was just listening to the replay on the podcast, was that they edited it out. He was heading in that direction, and I could put it together because I've heard this type of rhetoric before. I heard him putting it together, and then next thing I know, they edited it and they were going to the next call. Right? And so you would say, well, why would you want to go do stuff like that and go to Bama? Because of this. Now, say, for instance, if Bama wasn't winning, if Bama, Georgia, Clemson, if they weren't winning, they weren't getting these players to the next level, then the roles would be reversed. And they say, I'm not going to go play for them. Look what he said on social media. Or look what he said on Feinbaum's show. Or look, y'all got that type of guy running around y'all facilities, bringing him in here, and that's how he feels, talking about what's transpired in Atlanta. But they're winning. So, like I said, in my opinion, that's why social media is hurting Miami in recruiting, because we're not winning. We're not putting out first-round draft picks or just top 3 draft picks, because the first-round draft pick, that's, it's only 32 slots, right? And that's what they deal with. That's what they say, the cream of the cream. But we're not putting out top 3. We're not putting out top 3 draft picks, right? We're not playing in those primetime games. We're not making it to the playoffs. Our facilities are not at that particular level, right? Not selling out games on a weekly basis. Stuff that people say, but So without a prospect coming out and saying all those particular different things, then they can come out and say, well, I don't like the way y'all talking on social media, man. You can go on message boards and aunts and uncles and parents and even the prospects and say, oh, they said this such and such about me on the message board. I don't want to play in front of a staff like that or a fan base like that. But yet someone on another message board could say the same exact thing. And it's like, but they winning though. But it's just my 2 cents on the ordeal, man. I know some people may disagree, agree, or just indifferent about it. But, you guys let me know what y'all think in the comments. Because I know a lot of people say it's not fair that Miami is treated differently. And like I said, we are different. So when you're different, you're supposed to get treated differently. It's kind of like in the NBA. You're going to double team the best player. You're not going to go out there and double team the 8th man in the rotation of the bench. Heck, you might even leave him wide open. You're treated different, right? But anyway, man, this video went over a little bit long, but I just wanted to kind of bring it home. But anyway, man, y'all like, share, subscribe, comment, and as always, it's always about the you.